Hello, fellow HIM 53 students. This is Kendra Collier, and this is my reading presentation for week 10. I will be covering an article entitled A Brief Instrument to Measure Patients' Overall Satisfaction with Primary Care Physicians, and the authors are listed there below. In this presentation, I will briefly introduce to you what patient satisfaction is and how it is used, materials and methods used during this study, the results of the study, moving forward with the results, and what it means for the future, my final thoughts, and then there will be a slide at the end of the presentation with the reference listed. So we're looking at patient satisfaction and an instrument to measure it. Patient satisfaction is essential for evaluating the delivery of health care and for assessing patient outcomes. It is also an important indicator of quality of care because of its relevance to compliance and recall of medical advice. Patient satisfaction is also developed of several factors such as physician knowledge, communication skills, convenience of accessibility, continuity of care, resource availability, and funding. In regards to this study and patient satisfaction, around the time when it was conducted, there were several evaluations and similar studies available. This study differs in the fact that there was not a study that addressed an instrument of measure to determine a patient's overall satisfaction with their primary care physician, and that was supported by psychometric evidence and validated by indicators of patient compliance. Therefore, this study was conducted to meet that need. On a side note, I wanted to let you know from this point forward, I'll be referring to primary care physicians as PCP or PCPs from this point forward. Materials and methods. This shows the setup and the process of the data collection. So for the study participants, there were 535 patients who responded to the survey created, which was sent out via physical paper mail. Participants were selected between the ages of 18 and 75 at the time of their first visit to their primary care physician, PCP. They also had to have at least 2 office visits within a 36-month time period, and participants had to have spent at least 2/3 of their visits with the physician who they deemed as their PCP. Instruments, there were 25 items listed on the survey. It was individualized. For instance, they had to acknowledge if the doctor that was listed on their survey form was indeed their actual PCP, and if provided care to them during the past 3 years and how often they visited the physician during that time period. In the patient satisfaction scale, there was a survey with 10 items on patient satisfaction. The questionnaire had contained 101 items, 37 in the main questionnaire and 64 in its supplement, and they had 7-point Likert scale questions. Other procedures included getting an approval by an IRB board at the Thomas Jefferson University. The surveys were then mailed out to 2,633 patients from 29 faculty physicians who all practice family-based medicine in an urban-based clinic. Also, there were several statistical analyses which were used on the information that processed the results. Again, 535 completed surveys were received back out of 2,633 that were mailed out. With this new information, the authors of this study completed several statistical analyses. These included determining an underlying construct, which a factor analysis was completed on 10 satisfaction items, resulting in 85% of the variance. Concurrent validity at item level. Concurrent validity at scale level findings confirm the perception that physicians who are perceived as empathetic can have a positive effect on patient satisfaction. Reliability, they use the Chromebox coefficient alpha, which concluded that the findings that reliability coefficients for the total sample and subsamples by gender and age were large, indicating that the instrument is highly internally consistent. By using descriptive statistics, it was found that there was no significant difference observed on the satisfaction scale between men and women. However, older patients had a higher satisfaction mean score than younger patients. Criterion-related validity findings conclude that physicians' orientation towards preventative measures can contribute to higher patient satisfaction. Some of the findings from the analysis also conclude that there is a strong evidence supporting the psychometrics of a brief scale specifically developed to measure patients' overall satisfaction with their primary care physician. The purpose of this study was to examine the internal relationships between scores of a newly developed scale and a number of criterion measures. That was conducted. However, authors of the study feel that it was limited based on the research at a single institution and had a low response rate, in turn, which could jeopardize the findings. Moving forward towards the future research, a similar study should be conducted, however, using better representation of sampling in multiple institutions and examine different practice settings using the psychometrics of this instrument. My final thoughts. This is a very useful instrumentation tool that applies to measuring patient satisfaction. There are other variables that this can be broken down into to measure as well, such as satisfaction for physicians by gender and age, physician interaction of patient gender and age, specialty, medical education, and cultural, ethnical background interactions of patient satisfaction with physician. As far as this article being outdated, the article was published in 2011, which makes it about 6 years old. I wouldn't necessarily call it outdated. However, as a patient myself, I've noticed an increase in patient satisfaction surveys from primary care physicians. Hopefully, there is a study out there that has taken some of the considerations that I mentioned in the moving forward section and applied them towards the new study by going on a larger scale and not just using one facility. Does this article tie into the content for this lesson? This article was taken from lesson 9, no, we're on lesson 10, which covered the coding and reimbursement. There is a slight chance that this article relates in the fact that if patients are not satisfied, then they will not return to their facilities or primary care physicians for their certain needs and build that relationship with their PCP. And if there is an abundance of those people who don't return or have a PCP, then facilities will lose their revenue income, they'll lose their business. However, facilities need to know what they can do to boost patient satisfaction to make sure that they gain this relationship with patients. That's why these surveys and instruments of measure are valuable. As far as on-the-job situations, I do not see at this time where I could apply this anywhere due to not working with outsiders or patients. Here is the reference that I've cited, along with the link where you can find this online if you're interested for more information, and thank you for watching.